And now you can see the Backseat Mogul Show in all its video glory on our YouTube page at roughedge.tv.
Come to Harbor Cove Cafe, where the palm trees sway, where you'll find my types and zombies you'll crave. Your hidden treasure at the end of Spinnaker. Tropical libations, feel the island vibrations. Taste the flavors that delight in our paradise of the night. Sip on sunshine in your cup, life's a breeze, so drink it up. Harbor Cove Cafe, where the aloha stays. Your perfect getaway at the end of the bay.
Showbiz is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs for no good reason. There's also a bad side.
This is the Backseat Mogul Show live here on roughedge.com, Rough Edge FM, Rough Edge all over the place. Rough Edge Studios produced it. Anyway, this is the Backseat Mogul, and I am R. Scott Bolton. I am the Backseat Mogul, and this is the show where we talk about show business. So much to talk about today. Sorry we're running late because we got a lot to talk about, but we'll get through it all. So sitting over there is JohnyD. Johnny, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Scotty B. How be you? I haven't said it that in a long time.
And I have not missed it for a second.
What's funny, I haven't done that in a long time, and
it just came out.
It just came out.
Yeah. So usually Johnny and I have breakfast before we do the show, and today I didn't have time to stop and get something. So even though I promised him last week I was going to bring mummy wrapped tacos from Jack in the Box, I just forgot, and then I ran out of time anyway. But we do have today Johnny got these at Winco, and they're Winco sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit sandwiches. There were 4 in here. It was less than $5. Mm-hmm. And what you do is you heat them in the microwave. Now, we did not heat them properly because these are some complicated, relatively complicated instructions for a microwave.
Especially when you get to be our age, it's really complicated.
Well, especially when the device doesn't have a button for what they're asking for. So in order to heat these properly, what they want you to do is to remove the sandwich from the carton. Thanks for that. But I guess they have to go through every step. Wrap the sandwich in a paper towel, which we did. And when we dabbled water on the paper towel in order to keep everything moist.
Did it say anything about removing sandwich from the plastic bag it's in?
It did not.
Ooh.
Wow. We can probably get a class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
Wrap sandwich in a paper towel and place in a microwave safe plate, which we did. Step 2, though, this is where it gets a little complicated. And it's not really complicated, especially if your microwave has this particular button. Microwave on defrost for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Well, we had no defrost feature. So we just cooked it on high for 90 seconds. Step 3 is turn sandwich over. It does say turn sandwich over. Microwave on high for an additional 45 to 55 seconds or until hot. So we just nuked it on hot all the way through, but they weren't bad. Yeah. They were not bad. They were the first one we did for the full 2.5 minutes, and it was a crispy puck. Still didn't taste bad, but it was a crispy puck. The other ones came out much better. But anyway, I just thought I'd share our meal with you for this morning.
Now, like Scotty said, there was 4 little sandwiches in the box.
Yes.
And I ate my first one. It was really good, especially after our doctor put some of that pink Himalayan salt and some crushed pepper.
Wait, you added salt to it? Do you know how much salt you consumed this morning?
I probably don't have to do any salt for the rest of my life.
I'm a salt fan. And then we'll get back to Johnny's doctor and his up. But each of these sandwiches has 49% of your daily intake. So we each ate 2.
But at that
So
time,
98% of it is done for today.
At that time, didn't know that.
No. Well, we found out the hard way.
Anyway, then I got some one of these peppercorn medley grinders.
I love those things.
And put that on it. Some grape jelly, which actually came from McDonald's.
The little McDonald's packets.
We're not advertising for McDonald's, but this is actually grape jam, not grape jelly.
And by the way, I do love McDonald's, so sorry.
So this will go back in the
drawer of condiments.
Yes. And put them together. I ate my first one. Oh, it was really good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. It was. I was impressed.
I give myself a minute or two, and then I dive into the second one. And my first bite.
Did you put salt in that one too?
Oh yeah. So I did my first bite. I didn't even get the bite because as I'm biting down. Forgot to mention, Scotty's not a big fan of those kinds of eggs they put on those kinds of fast food sandwiches. So he always he has one, he always gives it to me if I happen to be there because I do like eggs.
Yeah.
So anyway, I put that on there. So I got 2 egg patties with the sausage and the cheese and how I fix it up. And I go in for my first bite of the second sandwich and my sausage patty with the one egg on it slides out the bottom.
It just fell out, like the bottom fell out. It just fell out on the floor. It was hysterical.
This was one of those Three Stooges moments.
It really was. And John's like, why don't we have a camera there? And I'm thinking, well, I can think of several reasons. But anyway,
I picked it up because when it landed on the floor, I mean, I had a napkin in my lap, so it hits that and then rolls over onto the floor. Sausage side down.
So the sausage had to go because the studio floors aren't the cleanest. And but
I was able to save the egg.
He was able to salvage the egg, which is sad in my opinion, because any chance you get to ruin that kind of egg.
The egg should have gone down first and then the
exactly.
But I got to tell you, it was not bad. The second one with just the egg and the cheese doctored up and all that.
Yeah. No, it was pretty good. It actually did the trick for us. So that's good. I just thought we'd share that for you.
Well, real quick, what I want to say.
It's going to go on for the rest of the show, folks. He's going to talk about those damn sausage sandwiches for the rest of the show.
One other thing, when you nuke it for as long as we did, the cheese runs all out.
Yeah, it does. And we only nuked it for 90 seconds, but all 90 seconds on hot.
Next time
I bet if you could figure out the defrost, that it would come out a lot better.
Well, I was going to say, maybe the next time we do something like that, we should make sure that they're not frozen. Because
I'm not eating sandwiches that are sitting out in the counter all night thawing.
No, not all night. Get it. Well, like those, I stopped at Winco this morning and got them. And if I had stopped earlier, probably would have been, but it would have been thawed up enough.
We'll just find a defrost. There's got to be a way to do a defrost. I know that microwave downstairs at the House of Magic has a different power settings. We just got to find out which power settings is defrost. It just didn't have some of them have an automatic. You hit the button, it does it automatically. So,
well, one of the old studios we had a microwave, and as usual, Scotty would bring in breakfast for both of us. And I was running a little bit late this one day, and he puts the sandwich he got me in. It was a
Chick-fil-A breakfast sandwich,
and he puts it in the microwave for me. So
to keep it warm.
Yeah.
I didn't power on the microwave. I just tucked it in there to keep it warm.
So I come in and he says, your sandwich is in the microwave. Oh, cool. So I put my stuff down and I think I put it on for like 45 seconds, something like that. And it started sparking and everything's like, whoa.
And then it caught fire. And thank God it was raining because I had to scoop it out of the microwave and toss it out into the yard.
It was another funny moment was like, why isn't there a camera?
Thank God there wasn't. That's all I got to say.
Anyway,
so in other news, our buddy Dr. Shocker, also known as Robert Best, and his wife Rosie Radish, also known as Sarah, she and he have opened their bar in Reno, and the bar is called the Pele Utu, and Pele Utu is located at 1275. I'm going to show you an ad here that says 1265. Don't pay attention. It's actually 1275. And by the way, if you go to 1265, you're going to see Pele Utu. Anyway, it's a tiki bar that he's wanted to do something like this his entire life. And he finally had his dream come true. So they opened up the Pele Utu, had a kind of a soft opening on Thursday. Yesterday was their first full day. No advertising or anything so far, except for the posts that he's done on social media. But last night I texted him to ask him how business was. He said the entire bar was full and there were a couple of tables that were sitting there. So people are going to see the Pele Utu. I think word will spread. He said he got lots of great feedback after the first day. People were raving about what a good time they had and how good the drinks were. And I got to tell you, of course, the drinks. Shocker is the master mixologist. He's amazing. So Pele Utu is up there in Reno, brand new. It's open now. I'll play this brief commercial for those of you listening. You're just going to hear tiki music because I haven't done a narrator thing for it yet, but I will very soon. But this is Pele Utu in Reno, Nevada.
Too.
Pele-utu.bar is the website, and Pele Utu now open. Go there if you're in Reno, if you're anywhere near. It'll be worth the trip, I promise you. They're open 2 to 11, I believe, most days. And Rosie and Shocker are the only people working there right now. So say hello, tell them you heard about them on Rough Edge Radio and Rough Edge FM. And since Shocker's part of Rough Edge FM, he'll know exactly what that is. But wanted to share that with you because it's very exciting news, and I can't wait to get up there. I was watching people sitting there drinking yesterday, and I thought, man, I just want to get up there right now and spend some time at Pele Utu. So that's brand new up in Reno, highly recommended, and I want everybody should check it out if they get the opportunity.
I'm looking at his Facebook page, which is under his name, which, you know, I'm not going to mention his name over the unless I
don't say Robert Best on the air because I already did.
Yeah, I would hate to say that. But yeah, I will not say Robert Best, basically AKA Dr. Shocker.
Yeah, don't say that.
But I'm looking at the photos on Facebook, and it looks so nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's going to be a terrific place, and you know, like I said, it's one of those destination bars.
Road trip.
People are going to go to Reno just to go to Pele Utu. And it's like the Golden Tiki in Vegas. You know, you go to Vegas, you got to go to Golden Tiki. You go to Palm Springs, you got to go to the Reef or Tonga Hut or the Bootlegger. It's one of those things that people will go to. And there's a tiki culture, a tiki community that is going to share this. And Shocker's Place who's been part of the tiki community forever. It's going to be very, very popular. I'm certain of it.
I got to tell you, what's Frankie's? What's the full name of Frankie's?
Frankie's.
Oh, that's another tiki bar.
Yeah, Frankie's. Oh, yeah. You go to Vegas, you got to go to Frankie's. You got to go to Red Dwarf. You got to go to Stray Pirate. There's all these things up there, and people will go there expressly for that. Anyway, I'm just trying to find some other news because we did have some sad news here recently. Maggie Smith has passed away.
I saw that this morning. It was so sad.
She was a true legend. I mean, she was one of those people that everybody knew, that everybody appreciated her work. She won so many awards. It was crazy. She's been, I mean, every year she was in something new, and every year she was sharp as a tack and just brilliant in everything that she did. And I just wanted to pay tribute to her briefly here because she's one of those people who deserves it. For example, did you know she won 2 Academy Awards?
No.
She won the Academy Award for Best Actress in a Lead Role in the Prime of Miss Jean Brodie in 1970 and Best Actress in a Supporting Role in 1979 for California Suite. Why is that important? The California Suite.
Guess you're going to tell us.
Because she played an actress who thought she was going to win the Academy Award and was struggling trying to decide what was going to happen with that. So she's playing basically who she was going to be in a couple of months with that. So yeah,
sweet.
That's very good news. So
I got to tell you, from the Harry Potter, the character she played in the Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the Prime of Miss Jean Brodie.
Yes.
Do you remember the song for that?
It was, it's the prime of Miss Jean Brodie. If she gets dirty, she can be grody.
It's pretty close.
No, I hope not.
No, it
Maggie
starts
Smith.
out Jean. I can't remember all the words to it, but I really, really liked that song because that came out in the 60s or early 70s, and I'm trying to remember the name of the
I think
singer.
the only lyric was Jean. Jean, 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 Jean.
No,
Jean, Jean, Jean. No. Anyway, that probably won best song too, because that's a very, very popular song. Anyway, Maggie Smith, wanted to pay tribute to her because she's one of those people that everybody knows. Every generation knows Maggie Smith from different iterations. And there's a reason for that.
It was like this: Jean, Jean, roses are red, all the leaves have gone green, and the clouds are so low.
You need to stop. We're gonna get sued. You can't sing that song.
But I'm not singing the actual tune. It's just the words.
Well, you were.
Anyway, the artist who did the song's name went by the name of
Roger Daltrey.
Oliver.
That was close.
Yeah.
Oliver Daltrey?
No, not Oliver
Oh,
Daltrey.
okay.
But yeah. The song came out in 1969. So yeah, the movie came out in the 60s.
And she won the Oscar for it in 1970. So makes sense. Anyway, moving on, Maggie Smith, we're going to miss you. You made an impact on the industry like few have. And
she was so
much
good.
appreciated. Yes. Johnny and I both watched the new pilot for Matlock starring Kathy Bates.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, because I never watched a single episode of the original Matlock, not one, with Andy Griffith, but I was excited about this show. And I do know why. Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates she's one of those people you go see something just because she's in it. So anyway, they did a preview of the pilot on September 22nd. It begins actually airing on October 17th. So we got some time to do another episode, but mark your calendars now, folks, because I got to tell you, this was one of my favorite new shows in a long, long time. First of all, you have Kathy Bates, who is one of the most confident actresses I've ever seen. She just becomes her roles. She just absorbs them.
Yeah.
And she's perfect in this. She's playing this Southern charm and style and intelligence. And it's interesting because the show tells a bunch of different stories. Yeah, it's a mystery show, but it's also a show about ageism, because the young people at this firm do not want to work with somebody her age. She tells them that she's been out of the workforce for about 20 years. She was a lawyer for about 20 years.
30 years.
Okay.
She was out of the.
Like it matters. But so she comes into them working, she's a senior citizen and they don't want to work with her. What does she know about the law? She hasn't even practiced it in 20 or 30 years. But they find out why, because she's smart. Now that's part of the problem that they're going to have trouble with for the rest of the show. Like every single show of its type does, because every week they're going to go, well, what does she know? Even though she solved all these cases in the past. It's like Monk. No matter how many times Monk was right, they always question him.
Mm-hmm.
Always question him. Well, that doesn't make any sense. If he did it last time and it worked, you should just listen to him. But that's conflict. They got to have that conflict. But the supporting cast is great. The story, though, is perfect. The story is perfect. And I'm not going to tell you anything about it, except there's a major twist in it that just you were begging for episode 2. So did you have any other thoughts about
I really
Matlock?
like the way she, Kathy Bates' character, Maddie Matlock, her name is Madeline Maddie, but she goes by Maddie. And she explains all that.
She does.
And I like the way she got up into that meeting in the very beginning.
That was a great way to introduce the character.
Yeah,
and it should have told them a lot about her too, but I guess it did. She got the gig. So,
well, when she finally gets upstairs, she stops first at the coffee shop downstairs. Some guy actually pays for her coffee.
John, don't give it away.
Okay. But like I said, I really liked the way she gets upstairs and as she
surprises everybody.
Just as she's getting ready to turn the corner, it's what she does with her coffee cup.
It's terrific. You really got to see Matlock, folks. If it keeps up this quality, it's going to be, and it was a huge hit for CBS. It's had some huge numbers. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Julie.
Julie's just stepped in. I don't have a camera to offer you, or I'd give you a camera.
That's okay.
So-
I just thought I'd sit in since I'm just hanging out.
Sure.
My husband couldn't remember his clothes this morning.
Yeah, I was here this morning. Jim comes in. He had a little panicked look on his face. He needed his black House of Magic shirt for a gig he's doing that he says it's a 3-hour drive to. Oof. So yeah, you probably have to pull that mic over there a little bit.
So yes, I, being the lovely, dutiful wife that I am,
Did you bring
came
him?
rushing out here with a shirt.
He has to have his House of Magic shirt, otherwise it's not.
Yeah, except I can't go home now because I have auditions later today. And one of the girls that I'm picking up that's been assisting us lives out here in Santa Paula.
So what's the point of going home?
Yeah, because I'm just going to go ping-ponging it back and forth.
Yeah, and that's a long way.
And it's a waste of money,
And
gas,
fuel.
and my time. So it's like, okay, so now what am I going to do? I'm going to go say hi to
Sitting on the Backseat Mogul show.
John and Scott.
Scott.
My brain.
We started out talking about Pele Uto because we're all very excited about that place. So
Yes.
I'm up in Reno
Very
and
nice.
Pele-utu.bar. PELE-UTU.
U2E.
UTU. Which I got.
U2E works.
U2E, yeah. .bar. So check that out there if you will. And then we talked about Matlock. Did you get a chance to see the new Matlock series?
No,
So good.
I haven't
It's
had much
amazing.
time. Since I've been home from Virginia, I haven't had a lot of sitting on my butt time.
Well, you need to watch Matlock when you get a chance
Ah,
because it's very, very good. What else were we going to talk? We talked about Maggie Smith, of course. You know about her.
yes.
We talked about her yesterday on the Friday Shot Day show.
A great loss
Yes,
to the film industry.
she's a legend. She was a true legend, no question. I think you're caught up. Oh, and we have these for breakfast: sausage, egg, and cheese sandwiches from Winco.
It's good.
Ah,
It's good, but it's not good for you. Each sandwich has 49% of your daily sodium.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Of course, we
and
found that out after we ate 2 sandwiches.
and it
each.
wouldn't have stopped us. Let's be honest.
So
Yeah, but I went and added extra salt. to mine.
you each had 2 sandwiches.
Yes.
Okay, so that is 820 calories. That's more calories than I eat.
Are you calorie
Every
shaming us? Are you
day.
calorie shaming us?
No, I'm saying I don't know what's worse, that you ate more calories than what I eat every day, or that you ate more calories than I eat every day.
And probably a lot more salt than you ate every day. And I'm sure there's gluten in there too. Is there not?
Oh yeah, because the biscuits.
Well, once in a while you gotta live it up a little bit.
I know.
And that's how we live it up with Winco frozen breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah, for the price, it was not bad.
No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, in McDonald's, the cheapest sandwich you get is breakfast sandwich is $2.89 times 4,
And that's one sandwich. Yeah.
So
It just goes to show you, though, how easy it is to eat way too much.
oh yeah,
Because, I mean, I'm losing weight, but I'm not losing it like a flash. And my calorie intake is under 1,000 calories every day.
that's crazy. There's something wrong with it.
And that's the only way I can lose weight. If I go above 1,000 calories, forget it. I won't lose weight. I'll gain weight, which is not normal in my eyes, but that's
Yeah, everybody's
fact
different.
of
That's
life.
the thing. It's like our buddy Miguel, who's going to be the bartender at the wedding. We were talking to him last night, and he was telling us what he had for breakfast, and it was like 2 or 3 breakfasts. We're like, and the guy's he's thin as
Yeah.
a rail. It's like
yeah. It's
some people
crazy.
just have that lucky metabolism.
See,
So-
I've watched him when we've gone to La Cabana. I've watched him prepare drinks. Oh, he's good.
He is good. Well, you've had his drinks. You haven't just watched him.
I know
prepare
it. But when you see someone who they look like they take pride in what they're creating, whether it's from a recipe or they're making it up, it's really cool to watch how they do things.
Yeah, it is. And he's a pro as well. I'm so glad he's going to be there that day, but I'm also a little scared because
You're not scared.
well, I am because Miguel, and again, Julie's here. You can't see her because we're out of cameras and I can't add a new one in the middle, but I'm scared because we're going to have a good time with that guy.
But there's nothing to
Wave,
be
Julie.
There's Julie.
There's nothing to be afraid about because you can have a good time.
No, but the problem is that my wife wants me to stay fairly sober that evening, at least until everything's gone. And that's going to be difficult.
I'm
with
sorry.
Miguel.
I kind of
going to be difficult. With
Yeah,
my brother.
but you're a pro, so you
I
know how
will.
to make it look like you're doing all right.
I will. I'll get through it. I'm pretty sure. I think so. Let's see.
It won't be cans dragging behind the newlyweds car.
It'll be me.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It might very well be.
I have to get some soup cans.
Why?
So what
I
kind of-
don't know if anybody ever does that anymore.
I don't.
do
Yeah,
they?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not even sure what they're driving. They may. As a matter of fact, I think they're Ubering. We can't time to an Uber car. That would
Yeah.
probably be
Well,
bad.
that depends on who is keeping the driver occupied while we die. This. Okay, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. So, let's see. We're talking.
I can remember doing that to somebody,
Yeah, but
that was back in the.
and it wasn't an
70s.
Uber car.
No, it was their own car, and it was back.
Did
in
you
the
ever put a
70s.
potato in somebody's exhaust pipe?
I thought about doing it. That's funny.
That's what I've heard. I haven't done it.
Probably won't be as effective today as it used to be. But if you're plugging up the exhaust, it's not going to really start. I've never put sugar or mothballs in a gas tank.
You're not offering suggestions for minor terrorism, are you, John?
No.
Why would you want to do that to somebody?
Because you're mad at him.
Okay.
I have to check my.
I tell you one thing that I have been guilty of. Two things actually. Putting
Pudding? You make pudding?
no. Well, I have, but not. You put sardines on an intake manifold.
That's evil.
Oh yes, it is.
We got sardines for our dogs. Boy, this show gets off track. Because they wouldn't take their pills.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, you like stinky stuff. Let's give them sardines. You can't give dogs sardines. There's all kinds of little tiny bones in there. We looked it up and went, whoa, that was close. Because you get those little tiny wire bones in them.
But the other thing that I've done.
Oh, he's going to go on?
One more thing. You take the coil
bet.
wire.
I bet.
You take the coil wire. You pull it out of the distributor cap. You take the number one cylinder spark plug wire, disconnect that, and swap the two. And the engine will not start. It's not going to hurt it, but the engine will not start. Now, again, I wouldn't do that on new cars with computers, but on older cars, it's funny. It's funny.
Sounds
You
hysterical.
can't get to the wires on new cars. Have you ever opened up the hood of a new car? It's all encased.
It's a box with a little, you hit Control Alt Delete to turn it off. It's crazy. All right. So anyway, moving on, we had the big opening of Megalopolis. Say it again.
Megalopolis.
That's pretty good.
That's probably the only time I'm going to say that.
This is the movie that Francis Ford Coppola, the director of the Godfather movies and many other big movies, financed himself.
Oh,
$120 million of his own money
wow.
put into this movie because he wanted to make it the way he wanted to make it. He wanted to.
He didn't quite make it.
No, that's where we're headed. Yeah. $120 million of his own money because he didn't want the studios involved. He wanted to make the movie his way. And that's the one thing you can say about Megalopolis. Now, I haven't seen it yet, but I plan to go see it very soon. But at least you're going to see a film by a filmmaker that's made exactly the way he wants to make it because he paid for it himself so that nobody else would get in his face. But I have to believe that he knew he wasn't going to get that money back. He's worth over $1 billion. So it's, $120 million is still a lot of money, but it's not time to start a Kickstarter for him. But I have to believe that he knew it wasn't going to be a monster hit because in order to be a hit, it costs 120. So it has to gross about 360 to break even. That's.
Yeah. And that looks like an animated. So is it animated?
It is not. No.
Oh, because the picture looked animated.
Oh, that was the robot.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that too. We'll get to that right now, as a matter of fact, because that's Wild Robot is the big hit this weekend. It's going to open with about $35 million. Finally, it looks like something's going to bump Beetlejuice off the top of the list. So, and Wild Robot's got 98% good reviews. So, and 98% audience score as well. So that's big. That's huge.
So that is an animated movie.
Wild Robot is animated, yes, and it's opening better than they expected it to. Megalopolis, though, $5 million on opening weekend. It only did 770,000 last night in previews, which means we got to go see it soon, John, because it's not going to be in theaters very long. It's over 3 hours long.
Oh, we might have to go this week.
I don't know that it's 3 hours long. I probably should double check that, but it's
I'm very distraught over
2:18.
Producers and directors that are doing these 3-hour movies, because so many of them do not belong being 3 hours.
Most of them don't belong being over 2 hours.
It's like a trend, except it's a trend that shouldn't be happening, because you lose me in the movie. And then,
well, see, that's the problem. If the movie loses you in the middle of the movie, then it should never have been a 3-hour movie.
right.
But there have been 3-hour movies that are worth it. We saw Killers of the Flower Moon, which was 3.5 hours long. You never once drifted from that movie. That movie held your attention from beginning to end.
Right.
So some movies can pull it off, and some film directors, because that was Scorsese. But other ones can't. And by the way, I was wrong anyway. It's only 2 hours and 18 minutes long. So it's not as long as I thought it was.
You know, when you do have these big movies that are way over 2 hours long, go back to what they used to do. Have a short intermission.
No, intermission that stops the flow. I don't like intermission.
So you can get up and go to the bathroom.
I can get up and go to the bathroom anyway.
It's not about getting up and going to the bathroom. It's that they're making these movies long that really shouldn't be, and so the movie gets boring. Because
if it's not a movie that's worth the 3 hours,
right? And there's too many of them out there, and so when you start watching a movie and you're not even halfway through and you can't wait for the end because you're done watching it, that is a really bad sign, and that's when people need to start reevaluating how long their movies are. It's also
a bad movie. If a bad movie doesn't hold your attention, then it's a bad movie too. So, but like I said, some of them need the 3 hours. Dances with the Wolves, I would argue, is a movie that needs its 3 hours. It works, sometimes it works. Most of the time it doesn't, and there is this trend for these movies just keep getting longer and longer, and it's like, enough already.
You start watching them and you're just like, it's only halfway through. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Just stopping it in the middle doesn't, giving an intermission doesn't help, because the storyline is dragged out.
I don't like intermissions because it takes me out of the movie. I want to go all the way through. The only intermission that I enjoyed recently, and it's probably the only movie that had an intermission recently, was The Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight had an intermission in the middle, but it was worth it because the first part ended. Everybody went up and did their business, got their popcorn, came back. And then when the second part begins, Quentin Tarantino himself tells you what you might have missed and then tells you what happened when you weren't looking. It's like, it was just freaking brilliant. That guy is such a great filmmaker. It just blows my mind, but that was worth it. That was worth sitting. I had to go that by myself because it was only one more day in the theaters. And my son had already seen it. He saw the Roadshow edition in 70 millimeter, and it had the intermission as well. But I saw it at the local theater out here. And I had to see it in the big screen because Tarantino, you got to see it in the big screen. And it was amazing. But anyway, it doesn't look like Coppola is going to get anywhere near his return. Again, I kind of think maybe he didn't think he was going to. He just wanted to make this movie so badly.
And sometimes some people do that.
Yeah. It took him 4 decades to get this movie done. He's been planning and everything 4 decades to get this movie done. So he finally got it done, paid with it with his own money. Not going to make his money back, obviously. And the reviews aren't great. 49% of the people, of the critics, gave it good reviews, and 41% of the audience. So it's not doing great that way. And if you're wondering what it's about, because I know a lot of people are, let me read you the synopsis on Rotten Tomatoes.
Megalopolis.
Thank you. Megalopolis is a Roman epic set in an imagined modern America. The city of New Rome must change, causing conflict between Caesar Catalina, a genius artist who leaps into a utopian idealistic future, and his opposition, Mayor Franklin Cicero, who remains committed to a regressive status quo, perpetrating greed, special interests, and partisan warfare. Torn between them is socialite Julia Cicero, the mayor's daughter, whose love for Caesar has divided her loyalties, forcing her to discover what she truly believes humanity deserves. Now, again, I can't wait to see this, mainly because I'm just intrigued. I'm just intrigued to see what a genius filmmaker like Francis Ford Coppola does with his $120 million. But, maybe it just doesn't work.
It could be a little too heavy for society today.
Yeah.
Which some of these really brilliant people, their brains are beyond the capacity of most people.
That's true.
So that might be why it's a niche movie. It's for people who can really, it's like the book, what is it? Love and Peace and War or
Love, War and Peace.
War and Peace. that's not a book for everybody. And just because it's highly regarded by a few, it doesn't mean that it's set out for the average Joe. They're not going to get it.
That's true. That is absolutely true. And that very well may be the case with this. And that's why the studios didn't want to do it, because they knew it wasn't going to be the next Avengers. But Francis Ford Coppola wanted to make it, and he's, how old is he now? He's 80, 83, something like that.
If he's got the money and he wants to do it, then all the power, he solidifies himself for the rest forever.
That's
infinity.
right. And this, that going in, this is exactly his vision, not touched by the studios, not touched by, every decision was made by him and pulled through. So anyway, I'm very anxious to see it. I got to see it in theaters too. And I hope it's still in theaters, because I can't go this week, because there's something going on next weekend. What's going on?
Oh, I don't know. Something about somebody getting.
That's right.
I don't know. It's just.
And my son. That's right. He's getting married. I almost forgot.
Oh no, he is.
John, you never had a chance.
He's that old.
So maybe a week from Monday, I'll get out there to see it, because I do want to see it. Except I got to take people to the airport and stuff, so I don't have a clue.
Yeah, Regency does a lot of playbacks too. So
yeah, and I just hope it sticks in theaters for at least a couple of weeks so I can check it out. So
who you taking to the airport?
And if it doesn't, Scott, we can
take people to the airport.
What?
You said you had to take people to the airport.
I do.
Who are you taking to the airport?
I'm taking Karen and Kristen, and I'm taking Doug and Michelle.
I thought you were going to the airport to pick them up.
Well, I have to do that first, don't I? How are they going to get back,
didn't
John?
say that.
Are they going to fly?
Well,
it's implied, John. You're still doing it, huh?
See?
Yes.
See, she gets it. She gets it. All right, it's time for this. If I can find it right here. Is it as bad as they say it was? We'll find out now on the Backseat Mogul Show. So, HBO Max dumped all 4 Superman movies starring Christopher Reeve on their network. And I thought, I haven't seen these movies since they were in theaters, so I'm going to watch them again. Superman 1 is better than I remember. It was just awesome. Christopher Reeve is the best Superman. And that's not putting down the other people who played Superman, because they're all great. But Christopher Reeve just embodied that character. He was just, he
sold it.
He was Superman. He was. And so I watched Superman 1, thought it was great. Superman 2, I remember not liking so much. And it was still good. It was better than I remembered. It was still pretty good. Superman 3 is the one we're talking about here. I haven't got to Superman 4 yet, but I will. Now, Superman 3 was the movie that starred Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was the guest villain in this one, along with Robert Vaughn. Robert
Vaughn was
it Robert Vaughn?
Yeah. Napoleon Solo from the
Man
from Uncle TV series.
That was him. And anyway, so Superman 3 was, I remember thinking it was horrible when I saw it at a theater. It's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as I remember. There were several parts I really enjoyed. Richard Pryor's character is great. He's an odd character for a Superman movie, because he's Richard Pryor playing Richard Pryor humor, while at the same time being a computer genius who comes up with all these schemes, and then ends up working for Robert Vaughn to try to kill Superman, which he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to kill Superman. He likes Superman, but he's stuck in this situation. The special effects are cheesy, and they are in a couple of the Superman movies. Let's be fair. Robert Vaughn is just chewing scenery all the way through. It's just, and then there's some, because when it was released, what was the date on that? You got that? 1983. Personal computers weren't really a thing. They were just kind of bubbling underwards, And so this movie played on computers being the bad guy. And it's interesting to watch all this computer action taking place on these giant box TVs and stuff, and these stupid Commodore 64 computers. It was weird to watch this. And there's even some sequences where, one in particular, where they're firing missiles at Superman, and it's like a video game. And every time that Superman dodges a missile or a missile hits him, they get a score. You're like, this is not real. This is, and it wasn't funny. It was just not good.
Well, let me ask you this. Back in 1983, when you saw this movie, did you have that same feeling?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did, because I think when they started the movie, you know how fast computers grew,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And how they changed and became more powerful. I think when they started that movie, by the time they finished it, things had changed so much already
Yeah.
that when the movie came out, it looked archaic.
Well, and I think it also fell victim to a degree of the trilogy. You know, when you have a successful opening movie, the second one, it's not quite comparison, but it's not bad. So they get really excited about it. So they're going to keep going. And then you start to fall short because your storyline is compromised at that point.
You can only do so many stories before it starts. I mean, some things surprise us, like Lord of the Rings. Of course,
Yeah.
it's based on a novel, the Harry Potter series, the James Bond series. But most of the time, you're absolutely right. Jaws 3D. Come on, folks. That was terrible.
You
That's
can't
terrible.
tell the same story over and over again.
You can't.
In a different way. You have to create a new. That's why the other ones work, because it was either a continuation or it was a completely different story.
Right. And that's the thing. Another thing about Superman 3, you don't have Gene Hackman. You don't have Valerie Perrine. They were essential to that
Yeah.
series. And they return, I understand, in Superman 4. But I haven't seen that since that was in theaters
And
either. So
don't forget Otis.
and just Ned Beatty.
Oh, he was. I cannot see anybody else playing that role.
I did think it was odd though, in one part where they were dressing down Otis, and Lex Luthor tells to him, "You got a pretty mouth." It's a different movie, folks. Anyway, so the thing I realized though, two things I realized, one of which we've already talked about, Christopher Reeve, even in Superman 3, is still the best Superman. He's just incredible. And also Ken Thorne, who's the composer. Now, Ken Thorne is a decent composer. He was a lower echelon music composer for movies, but he had the easiest gig in the world because John Williams had created the soundtrack for the first movie, and John Williams is the king of movie soundtracks. He's the best. To this day, he's still the best. And that Superman soundtrack is so iconic that all Ken Thorne had to do was really take pieces of it and put it in the two movies, because he did Superman 2 and Superman 3 at least, and replay them. So he's just replaying the John Williams things. And I will tell you that no matter how bad that movie is, when they start playing that Superman theme and Christopher Reeves is flying, it just lights you up. It just lights you up.
Christopher Reeves had an innocence to him that sold the Superman story.
Yes.
That some of the subsequent ones don't have.
It was his innocence, his kindness, his big-heartedness.
While being such a figure of strength, he still had that innocence to him that was super believable. And I think that's why everybody fell in love with him.
I think that's true. And the other thing about Superman 3 is it has one of my favorite Superman scenes ever in it. And it's not a good scene. It's not a happy scene, but it's when they create the artificial kryptonite, and they give it to Superman, but they missed an ingredient because they couldn't figure out what that ingredient was. So it doesn't kill Superman. It just makes him a jerk. So he's just a jerk. And in one scene, he's sitting at a bar and he's drinking whiskey and he's flicking peanuts at the mirror in the back of the bar, and it's shattering bottles and making, I just think that's hysterical watching Superman flick peanuts at bottles of liquor and watching them explode. But it's also a very sad scene because you never want to see Christopher Reeve's Superman like that.
Yeah.
So
there was a movie he did that was released in 1980, which was one of my favorite.
John's been on Google.
One of my favorite movies that I've ever seen him in. It was called Somewhere in Time.
It's a great movie.
Oh God, great cast. But I'm not going to tell you what it's about. I want you guys to go and see if you can find this movie. You're going to watch it and you're going to go, oh my God, if only.
It's sad what happened to him.
It's very sad. And there's a movie that's out now, a documentary about his life and what he did for people. And then even after he had the accident, he was still out there working with kids and everything else.
Yes.
And I will never go see that movie. I'm sorry. I just watching the trailer made me tear up. It's just insane with that. That's
was a huge
horrible
loss.
thing. Yes. Horrible thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, in future weeks, we'll be talking about Superman 4. Because I've got that recorded as well. It's kind of fun to go back and watch those old movies,
Yeah, watching old movies. I started watching Mad Max Furiosa the other day because Jim wasn't home, and I thought, it came up on my stream, so I watched it, which enticed me to go back and watch the original Mad Max movies to see how he progressed along. Oh my God. Talk about bad music. bad everything, but yet you're still drawn to them.
Oh, I love the Mad Max movies from the first one to the end. And I know what you mean about the soundtracks because they had tiny little orchestras and tiny
well,
little.
and it's not even American. It's
It was Australian, yeah.
So they're
And a lot of those prints don't have Mel Gibson's voice. They actually they were dubbed by an American actor.
It was just so funny because what we know of Mel Gibson now to where he came from there, it's just like a two different people. Completely.
I think the only way to save the Mad Max series, because Furiosa bombed so badly, which is a shame because it's freaking brilliant, is to get Mel Gibson to return. I think if Mel Gibson would sign on as Mad Max and do a movie at his age, what's Mad Max doing now?
Yeah,
I think that people will go see it.
Well, there's one more that Furiosa is not the last one. There's one.
No,
more.
it is the last one. Furiosa is the last one. There was one before called Fury Road.
Fury Road. That's maybe.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you're right in a sense because Furiosa is a prequel to Fury Road, and it ends exactly where Fury Road starts.
Okay, because I knew that the one that I watched was one that I believe I did watch back when it was still Mel Gibson in it.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden there's two in the middle or two on the end that don't have him in it at all.
No, it's Tom Hardy played Mad Max in Fury Road. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he played Mad Max in Furiosa, but only from an aerial scene. You see Mad Max sitting there with his car and his dog. And, but yeah, so that's 4 people that played the character.
Because I was just curious about it. I'm looking at it going, okay, I kind of don't remember some of these, but I kind of sort of do. It's weird.
It's the same universe, and that's cool about it. But
yeah,
I just don't know why Furiosa tanked as badly as it did because I freaking loved it. I thought it was just amazing. Let's see.
Actually, I believe there was 5 people that played.
Who's the 5th?
Phil Collins in the music video.
That doesn't count, John.
No.
It's a good pull, but it doesn't count. All right, we're going to close out with this because this stuff always happens. Everybody who listens to this show, watches this show, knows that I hate the phrase, Hollywood's running out of ideas. Hollywood is not running out of ideas. Hollywood is only producing what they think you will go to. And what do they think you'll go to? They think you'll go to sequels. They think you'll go to superhero movies. They'll think they don't want to produce anything that you're not going to go to because it doesn't make business sense. So it's not that Hollywood's running out of ideas. It's that they're just trying to figure out how to get butts in the seats. That's their whole goal. And to prove this, the first Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix grossed over $1 billion. Huge hit. Yeah. The second one's opening this weekend, is it, or the next weekend?
I'm not sure.
Very soon. And even though the reviews aren't as good as they were for the first one, because it's kind of a musical.
What is it again?
The new Joker movie.
Oh.
I still think it's going to be
That's the one with
Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go wrong with? Anyway, it's
but honestly, Joker's a hard character to play.
He is.
He's an extremely hard character to play that you can sell.
Yeah.
And make it believable in a way that captures the attention because they've had several different people playing him.
The reason that the Joker's so that you can prove that is just think of the people who played him in the movies. Mm-hmm. Jack Nicholson, Academy Award winning actor. Mm-hmm. Heath Ledger, Academy Award
best.
Very good. But it's like James Bond. I can't separate him out. And Joaquin Phoenix, who won an Oscar for that role.
Very good.
Yeah. And, it takes actors of that level to bring that character to life that brings people to the theaters.
Yeah.
But here's the problem with it all. So Joker's a huge hit. Joker 2 is probably going to be a big hit. So what do the studios do?
We're going to do.
Oh, people want to see movies about villains. We're going to make movies about villains now. So they've got 2 lined up. They've got Bane from the Batman movies and Deathstroke from DC Comics as well. Both of them are getting their full-on feature film versions.
Since the studios probably, like you said, probably think people want to see movies about villains, maybe it's time to shop around a certain script that's based on a certain book. And speaking of books, have you been to Amazon.com?
Hold on. What are you talking about? What script about what book? I'm not writing a book that Nazis are heroes, Johnny. Not going to do it.
Okay, so you change who it is. It was a great book, though.
It was a great book.
And the script.
He's talking about a book called Gray Eagles, and it's the closest I ever came to really selling a screenplay in Hollywood. We were this close.
The script that you guys wrote was really
And it was about a group of World War II Nazi pilots who had rebuilt their planes and were planning on bombing Los Angeles in revenge for what happened to the Nazis in World War II. And the cool thing about it was that some American pilots who have their P-51s all rebuilt, they're planning on stopping them.
Okay.
So it might, you might be able to twist it around. But the problem is that the book was written with, like, the Nazis were the heroes. Like, yeah, I can't do that.
Well, it's not that they were the heroes. I wouldn't look at it that way, but it's about, yes, they get defeated. But I still think that the script that you guys wrote, I thought was really great.
That ship has sailed, but it was a pretty good script. Anyway, what were you saying about Amazon? We're going to get out of here.
If you go to Amazon.com, look up R. Scott Bolton, author, you're going to find and we use that word again, plethora of books.
Plethora.
It's
Cannot get him to say it right.
That our very own.
Every time you say that, think of urethra, and it'll be. Don't do that.
No.
Our very own Scott Bolton.
R. Scott Bolton.
R. Scott Bolton has several books that you can buy. The latest is Death in the Mogul.
Very good.
I almost said the one that you're currently getting ready to.
Bowling bag in the backseat.
Yes.
Where's your notes? Because you're running out of time.
I got to get back to reading.
Seconds away. I'm going to have to pull the plug on it, and you're going to be sorry.
I'm going to have to go back to Ventiki and
have a couple of Mai Tais and read my book.
Yeah, but that's how I did the last 3.
I got to stop by there because I want to drop a copy of Knife Point off for Dwayne, because he was surprised that I'd written books, and he doesn't know that Ventiki is actually featured in the last pages of that book. So.
My favorite book in this list is Dead Dick. For me, it was one of those books when I read the very last word. I'll semi-quote a line from a Pink Floyd song. Might I have more?
It's not from Pink Floyd at all.
Okay, it's from Oliver.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, so thank you for that, Johnny. Julie, thank you for dropping by. It was good to have you on the show today. Very briefly, I want to go over what we talked about. We talked about the new Matlock series with Kathy Bates. Absolutely terrific. Highly recommended. We talked about Megalopolis. Is that better?
Okay.
Which cost Francis Ford Coppola $120 million of his own money, and it only made they're thinking it will only make $5 million this weekend. Here's another seed of Megalopolis, by the way, a little pre-production drawing. Pretty cool stuff. We talked about Wild Robot, which is #1 in theaters with huge reviews, both from critics and from audience members. Supposed to be a great book and turned into a great movie. So that's very exciting. And we talked about Superman 3, which was bad, but maybe not as bad as we thought it was. So that's what we have for those. And then next week, we'll be talking about Dr. Odyssey, which I've been so excited to see. And I did see it, but I'm not going to talk about it this week. We'll talk about it next time. But how do you not like their tagline? Dr. Odyssey, big deck energy. I thought that was pretty clever. All right, folks. As always, enjoy your week. We will not be here next week because I got a little shindig going on, but we'll be back the following week.
What is that shindig again?
My son is getting married.
Woohoo!
After 2 years with his current girlfriend, 3 years maybe now. They're finally making it official. So it's going to be an interesting weekend. But starting today, my time is limited. I got all this stuff I got to get done. So it's going to be crazy busy. But that doesn't mean we won't have time for the Grape. Maybe next week. Mm-hmm. Doug's coming to town. My brother's coming from Costa Rica, and we're talking about making a trip to the Grape. So nice. I'll let you know. And speaking of the Grape, here they are right now, and we'll see you in a couple weeks, folks. Bye.
Goodbye.
Brought to you by The Grape, Ventura County's premier jazz venue and cocktail lounge, located at 2733 East Main Street in Ventura. For menu and music schedule, visit them online at thegrape.club.
This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.